Hey, welcome to another episode of Geek Bytes Podcast. I'm Ramon Mejia.
I'm Edgardo Costa.
And today is June the 3rd, 2016, and this is episode 66 of the podcast. And every podcast, we bring you the roundup of the week's best geek and tech news, and we discuss that news, and of course, anything else that we are interested in that week.
In Geek News this week, we'll talk about Elon Musk, AMD's new graphics card, the new Harry Potter photos, Luke Skywalker's new show, the gorgeous ladies of wrestling, and much, much more.
Absolutely. And we're beginning our show, though, with Geek News. Our beginning is first story of the week that we're talking about is about Elon Musk, whether he's a futurist or a crackpot. This week, during an interview at the Code Conference, Elon Musk made some very interesting statements that some have labeled as kind of crazy. Elon Musk has predicted that the first humans will travel to Mars in 8 years from now, arriving on the red planet by 2025. Musk is the founder of SpaceX. He founded it in 2002 with the goal of enabling people to live on other planets. According to the description on the SpaceX company's website, in April, SpaceX also announced that they plan to send unmanned missions to Mars that will launch within 2 years. So Elon Musk is actually putting his money where his mouth is, along with this prediction. So what do you think of this first one?
Well, it was to me. I think in our lifetime, we'll probably be really old, but. Yeah, I don't know. I don't exactly expect a colonization of Mars, but to put a body on there, it's going to be It's going to be like our generation's version of the moon landing, having an actual physical person landing on Mars in this case. But it'll be past our lifetime when it actually becomes a whole colonization. And
so does it sound crazy or just?
No, I can see it happening. You know, everybody. Times have changed, obviously, but everybody had at the time of that era of the future being different. You know, right now it's 2016. Still no flying cars.
But 9 years to put actual people on Mars, that seems highly complicated and a very short time frame to do something. It's one thing to put people on the moon. That took quite a long time. But it's the distance from the moon to Mars is multiples of it. It's estimated to like 5-6 years to get to Mars. So if you're going to kind of get there within 9 years, that means you would have to leave within 4 years.
But once again, nobody said they had to be there alive.
That is a very interesting point. Now, next kind of crazy or futuristic than Elon Musk said this week, he thinks that our entire universe may be a video game played by more advanced civilizations. Crazy or
real
futuristic?
world sim or sort of reality sim? Yes and no. It's the whole, there's that one theory, subconscious. Are we part of a dream?
Yep.
Of a dream?
Of a dream.
And blah, blah, honestly, this is one big God's way of playing Sims. He has a very weird sense of humor. No, I don't think that's crazy. It's a view. It's an opinion.
It absolutely is an opinion. This one is a little more far-fetched than other things he's said. The basic idea is that if you think about the way video games have advanced in the last 10, 15, 20 years, graphics have gotten much better processing speeds. So hypothetically, sometime in the future, millions, thousands, whatever it is, in some advanced civilization, their processing power might be advanced enough to create an entire universe in some futuristic computer network. And the NPCs of that world, us, would not necessarily know the fact that they live in a computer simulation. Like the entire span of our universe might just be some simulation in someone else's advanced computer game.
You mean the Matrix?
Matrix-ish, yeah. Very Matrix-ish, very much so.
Let's get to that point.
Yeah, so if at some point in the future, folks, you see a blue pill and a red pill, it might be...
Pop them all.
You might be the main character in a future video game. We don't know.
Real quick theory. Did you ever watch the theory of Neo technically is not the one, but it's actually Agent Smith?
I have not heard that theory, but it is interesting.
I actually have the Matrix collection, just real quick related. Actually, they had really intelligent people like kind of analyze the movie, but they were just putting so much thought into it. It's like, man,
Makes you
that
think.
it was just a movie.
That movie does totally try to make you think Now, the last kind of crazy future thing that Elon Musk said this week that kind of gets us thinking is Elon Musk thinks that sometime in the future, artificial intelligence could just turn humans into pets, like house cats. Basically, he theorizes that at some point in the future, artificial intelligence will take over all thinking processes, all manufacturing jobs, and humans won't have to necessarily do anything. And to avoid humans becoming pets, his solution is that humans should become part computer themselves. Now, specifically, he thinks that neural lacing is the key, that human brains will gain computational capability. Now, this is not something that's science fiction. This is something that came out last year, according to Gizmodo. A scientific group created a type of neural lace that can be injected into your brain and wrap around your brain via an injection. So there's no surgery involved. Now, this is a real thing, everybody, and it is capable of processing electric current components. So this can potentially in the future create a kind of cyborg brain for people. So what do you think, crazy or just futuristic?
Yes. Reason I'm saying yes is because there's been obviously a lot of advances with medical technology and also drugs. But then of course when I say drugs, there's the how do you say mind enhancing.
Yeah.
But then, of course, because of the mind enhancing, they could, say things like, obviously, there's the THC, there's tripping on LSD, acid, and I'm just talking about the hallucinogenics, not the actual ones that actually take care of you. And also like implants. Implants is a whole different thing. It's going back to the Matrix, but you said non-surgery, so you don't have to worry about.
Answer the first question. Do you think at some point in the future, artificial intelligence will make humans kind of pointless?
Well, Matrix theory, if we're going to become batteries, like a energy source, or at least a novelty item to AI. Oh man, that's.
Okay, so this always seems to be coming back to the Matrix, folks. Marcos Bravo says that this is some scary stuff, and indeed it is. And the last point about us being potentially in a artificial, computer simulation, kind of Truman Show-ish. He's absolutely right. So the very interesting points, Marcos.
It's a theory.
Yeah.
They're all theories. Nobody's right. Nobody's wrong unless it's obviously proven otherwise.
That's the thing about making future predictions. They never have to be correct. They're just kind of cool to think about. And Elon Musk is one of those forward thinkers that also puts in, again, his money where his theories go. He's done SpaceX. He's doing Hyperloop. So these are things that he's investing because he thinks that's where the future is going, and he kind of wants to invest in that kind of future.
Elon Musk is I don't want to really call him a character, but do you ever watch the Simpsons episode with Elon Musk?
Yes.
It was interesting because that's the first I've ever heard of him, even in an animated form. But what would you call him, like as a person?
He is a tech entrepreneur for the most part, but he's also an investor in a lot of weird stuff. But he's super rich. He got super rich from I forgot it was from like eBay or something.
Selling a lot of Beanie Babies?
No, like developing, making the stuff, like making. I think that he invested that money into some other interesting projects like SpaceX, sending things to space, Hyperloop, and Tesla Motors, making electric cars. All these things are things that people have wanted to do for decades, but nobody has finance because they can't see the potential profit. And he's that guy who is doing the crazy because he has the money to do it.
Isn't that interesting? That some of the more intellectual people are not financially secure to make these things actually happen.
No, it's a very interesting mix.
Smart enough to develop the devices, but not smart enough to know how to double a penny. No offense.
Those can sometimes be two very different skill sets: intelligence to make something or develop things, and the skill set to be a businessman and make it profitable.
Yeah. All right. Well, hope to know more of his crazy shenanigans, and all towards the advance of humanity, and hopefully AI doesn't take over. And Matrix would be kind of cool.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's see some more social media kind of related news. Snapchat overtakes Twitter. Bloomberg reports that Snapchat has reached 150 million daily active users, overtaking Twitter's estimated daily active uses of 140 million. Wow. I honestly have Snapchat and I have Twitter. Both pros and cons. I don't know about you. Are you much of a social-ish media partake on Snapchat or Twitter?
We have a Twitter account. We also have a Snapchat account, and mostly we can't really do the same advertising we can on Facebook or the same announcements for things that we're interested in. So Facebook is where most of our things go. But for me, Twitter has not been as beneficial as Facebook. But it is interesting to see that the demographic that uses social media the most, that the teens have decided that Snapchat is more interesting to them.
It's what the kids are into, man. Remember how obviously Friendster was a thing, but MySpace was a thing? Then so right now, currently it's Facebook. There are other alternative social media sites depending on what you're into. At least for Twitter's pretty much just like a basic message board. You just throw your idea in, and if it wasn't for adding the ability to add pictures and of course your lovely gifs/gifs, other videos, memes. Oh man, meme like social media words like that, meme, gifs, whatever. It's a thing. It's a thing, It's,
I would say Facebook kind of has the edge on being flexible and advancing and changing with the time. Because if it hasn't, it wouldn't be as ubiquitous as it is.
And it's all, of course, all about the entertainment value. Because at least to the best of my knowledge, because I obviously not tinker around too much with the Twitters, if you will. God, excuse me. Snapchat has those awesome like camera effects that you have to do. Like it's the novelty item, but the whole it scans your face and does the outline on it. They have this great X-Men themed one for Age of Apocalypse where you got actually have these fake sunglasses on you, and when you open your mouth, you start shooting an optic blast, just like
Snapchat definitely seems a little more casual, a little more fun than Twitter. Twitter seems like a news feed. Facebook seems like a gathering of friends and things you can create like groups and follow news stories. I think there's a study recently that said that a good majority of Americans actually get their news from places like Facebook and Twitter. So it kind of shows how big these things are becoming in everyday lives. And Marcos Bravio is recommending that we follow Dr. Miami on Snapchat. He shows himself doing all kinds of crazy surgeries.
I remember a long time ago in the ancient cable days, remember when TLC was an actually learning channel?
Yes.
I used to actually watch surgeries on that. That's where I learned about everything from gallbladder removal to breast augmentation to anything that actually involved learning.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Instead of Honey Boo Boo kind of dumbing it down to, I don't even know if it's even still considered called the learning channel anymore.
You learn about some things that you probably never wanted to.
I never wanted to. Dumb you down.
Now, speaking of things we can learn about, AMD has announced some information that I love learning about. AMD has revealed a new virtual reality card. AMD has revealed that the latest GPU this week, the RX 480, priced at $199. The company says that they designed the card to help make the first 100 million PCs ready for virtual reality. AMD claims that the users can install 2 of their cards and get better graphics rendering than NVIDIA's $699 GT 1080, which is their new virtual reality graphics card. AMD is really trying to compete with NVIDIA in the VR space by creating a less expensive graphic cards that can still handle virtual reality. So this is kind of a VR computer thing for me. I enjoy, that space quite a bit. I'm very excited to see that manufacturers, including Intel, AMD, and NVIDIA, are all creating graphic cards and CPUs that are catering to the heavy processing requirements of virtual reality that kind of makes that space more usable.
VR media is it's coming. I just don't know how mainstream it's going to be.
It's going to take right now it's really niche. It's if you're on the bleeding edge of tech, this is something you're excited about, and you've already bought your Oculus Rift or your whatever product it is, the HTC Vive, for like $500-$600 in addition to like $1,000 computer. For mainstream people, it's probably going to be 5 to 10 years before it becomes like something 70% of the populace uses.
Yeah, right now I'm behind it, but I'm at least got my finger tapped into it. I like to thank this gentleman that let me use his Oculus Rift to try it out, to see what it was all about. The Samsung headgear, it was fun. And I've gone the ghetto rig version, and I like to say the ghetto rig because I still will either hot glue, duct tape, or whatever something together if it'll work in one way or shape. And my ghetto rig is I actually funny thing invested in a Google Cardboard. Mine just came in the mail. It looked kind of small. I was going to bring it to demo it, but maybe some other time I'll do a little video demo on it. But I got the lenses and everything on it. it looks once again ghetto rig kind of thing. So I'm gonna piece it together, try it out. If I'm happy with it, whatnot. Because right now, especially if you have a mobile phone device, if you don't, sorry.
Yeah, I definitely think that mobile VR is a little easier for people to work with, just because it's not tethered to anything. You put it on your head and you kind of move along with it.
Yeah.
So at the point where mobile VR can start tracking your hands, that's when it's going to be super, super popular. Right now, it's more like you have to use your head to look around, or a controller on things like the Gear VR.
Yeah.
But once they add the additional electronics or the sensors where you can just track your hands naturally, that's going to be the stuff where people say, "Oh, this is the thing," and that kind of thing is much easier for people to accept than just this really expensive computer system.
Yeah, because honestly, oh God, now that I think about it, I don't know if anybody has a patent penny to this thing. You know how there's protective cases and whatnot?
Yep.
It just popped in my head. I'd like to see because pretty much like the Google Cardboard, it's a collapsible kind of thing.
You're like a Google Cardboard case.
Cardboard case that
They
on
have
the
them.
backside
Yep.
flips out. Then when you want to go VR, flip it in.
They have those. They're a little more expensive than Google Cardboard is, something
Yeah.
like $50.
If you want the good plastic.
Yeah. But that again, it's a big space. People are investing in technology to make it even better.
It's going to be fun. The only part that I found is kind of interesting. Do you see that commercial? I don't know, is it Six Flags or something? Where everybody's
yeah.
wearing VR headsets to ride a roller coaster?
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. At Six Flags Magic Mountain in California, there's actually a roller coaster where they put a Gear VR on your head while you're riding the roller coaster. I'm curious to see how many of those things they've lost.
Exactly. It needs a chin strap.
They say that they have a chin strap on it so that it's safe and secure. But I'm curious to see how it actually is, and if it's increased sales tickets to actually get people into the park for that specific thing.
Honestly, as much as that would be fun, I kind of would have settled just for a little gyroscope thing with a wind machine, because you're pretty much just simulating what you would be experiencing.
Sure, yeah. From the videos I've seen on the right, you're going through space on like a spaceship.
So I think I saw
it's
Alien
more
or
along.
Dragon or something.
People, from what I've read and the description and the reviews of it, it adds a level of immersion because you're actually physically moving around on a roller coaster, and it's just everything around you looks different. So it kind of gives roller coasters the ability to change their view and to make them longer lasting. So if you're an older gentleman like myself, I kind of got tired of roller coasters a really long time ago because they don't change. You stay in line for an hour. It's the exact same 1-2 minute ride, and then that's it. But if every time you rode the darn thing, you were in space, or you were in a forest, or you're being chased by dinosaurs, and each experience was different every single time, I see that adding value to that roller coaster system. And because you're actually physically moving in a roller coaster, your physical movement and your visual movement would match up, and it kind of adds immersion to it.
Honestly, as fun as it is, I think as a guest of it, it would take even longer to wait in line for it. Just to strap everybody in, one, into the coaster, two, strap on their heads to the devices, make sure they're all on, turning it off. Because can you imagine riding a roller coaster, you're just literally in the dark, just being like...
Yeah, that's probably kind of what it looks like. When they take that picture of the very end of the roller coaster, it looks like just a bunch of people
with
nodding their heads, and that's a thing.
Looking around like Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles.
That's probably what it looks like when you looking at it from the outside.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk more entertainment.
Harry
Potter
Yay.
and the Cursed Child cast photos. Quite a handsome-looking bunch. J.K. Rowling's The Cursed Child will officially hit the stage on July 31st, when we'll follow Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, Hermione Granger, along with their children as they manage the ups and downs of a post-Voldemort wizarding world. It's almost like a sitcom more than a stage show. But anyway, this week the production will release the first photos of the cast in costume. We see the Harry and how do you pronounce that one? Harry and Ginny,
yep.
And their sons Albus, Hermione, and Ron, and their daughters Rose, Granger, Weasley, and Draco Malfoy, and his son Scorpius.
Yes, you get to see the Harry Potter cast from the new stage play, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. It's playing in London. It's going to be starting up in July.
Gave you a heart.
It's very, very interesting. Just seeing the pictures and just seeing some of the descriptions from the people who were acting out the cast. The Draco still looks like a douche. It was interesting that they are making Hermione black in the stage play. That was kind of a twist that they changed from the movie. In the book, she's actually just described as with curly hair, so it was kind of a controversy. But to see her photo, it looks very cool. I mean, she doesn't look quite as happy as I thought she would, being married to Ron Weasley. But it is also interesting. She keeps her maiden name as she's going to be Hermione Granger still, and her daughter is what is it? Rose Granger Weasley, I think it is. So her daughter gets the hyphenated part.
It's interesting. I was expecting, especially being any kind of stage show, I was thinking Harry Potter on Broadway, like whole song and dance number.
It's a London show, so it's going to show up there first. I don't doubt that if it is financially successful, they're going to send it over across the pond to Broadway. And then from there, who knows where it's going to go. But this is going to be its first test audience as a London show.
Hey, Douglas, how's it going, sir? But this show is going to be, I'm not sure how to expect for effects because it's a stage show. I don't expect it to be a theme park Disney related kind of thing without elaborate effects or anything. But I did see some productions when it comes to quote unquote special effects. Remember that little like weird kind of trailer that showed they have actually a Naruto like play / stage show. In my mind, I'm like, all right, how are they gonna do all the effects? I'm not expecting the Nine-Tailed Fox, or in this case, them projecting their effects going across the stage. But they'll figure something out.
Absolutely, though the Naruto stage show is kind of interesting. I'm curious to see how they're gonna do the spell effects. But that's all live. Like they want you in those seats. They want you to see it live. It's a very different experience from seeing it in a theater. It also costs a heck of a lot more too. Yeah,
my thing is, I like plays. I think it's eventually schools, hopefully in a positive way, will adopt it, and we'll do actually live stage presentation.
At some point, you might be able to do a Harry Potter and the Cursed Child high school play. That's interesting. I would love to do that if I was in school.
I'd rather see that than the stereotypical. No offense to everybody, but the nativity scene Christmas play kind of thing that
do both, but I think it's interesting that you're right that at some point in the future they will do that. Now moving on to our next story, though, we're talking about Luke Skywalker, or rather Mark Hamill. He's getting his own television pop culture show. Comic-Con HQ, an upcoming streaming service, is actually going to give Mark Hamill a new television show. Pop Culture Quest is the name of the show. It will feature Mark Hamill talking to memorabilia collectors. They will show off their impressive collections, troves of action figures, comic books, and other impressive pop culture items. Comic-Con HQ is currently in beta and plans to launch in July for $5 a month. So is this something you'd be interested in getting?
Yeah, well, I don't know about paying for it, but I wouldn't mind it being like a cable show because it's been fun. Those things are fun. It's like it's depending how you view it. It's like being the guy with the collectors, like, ha ha ha, see what I got, see all my stuff, all my nerd collections of geekiness. And then there's me. I'm an admirer. I'm the guy that would actually like to go to a museum, go behind the scenes, go to a studio lot, see a collection, see a display, kind of thing like that. I like to be oohed and ah, know the history. I'm the guy that watches the bonus features and enjoys the bonus features on a movie, not just like to watch the movie. Okay, I'm done.
So just for baseball and just this one show, you'd sign up for $5 a month just to see how it is?
Well, I want to see what Mark Hamill's going to do. I don't expect him to like spin plates or, say MF this or, like, oh, what the fuck is this shit?
He's an absolutely very interesting gentleman just in his own right. He's a massive collector. So this seems to fit in his wheelhouse, even if he's just showing his stuff. And he's definitely enthusiastic about this pop culture kind of things. I've heard Kevin Smith talk about it a number of times, about how enthusiastic Mark Hamill is about being a collector. I think Marco Barbios in the chat room is also excited about seeing Mark Hamill on a collection television show. So we're with you there, buddy.
Yeah, I would definitely take it. I would check it out. Do a teaser trailer kind of thing on it to see, like, if it catches your eye, then of course that's what gets you to tune in. Because I love watching the behind the scenes stuff and like to see the making of it. I would love to see, there's a God, what was it called? Hollywood Treasures or Hollywood Seekers or Hollywood something like that, where they've actually gone to people's homes and it's like, hey, I just happen to have the original, let's say, what's out? That's out right now. That's okay. I happen to have the original Terminator 2, cyborg arm. I just have it.
Original movie props.
Yeah, but I also like hearing the history on it. Like, how did you obtain it? How'd you get it? Or like, oh, it fell off a truck, or whatever kind of.
But it seems like this show is absolutely perfect for you if that's what you're looking for.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure Mark Hamill's gonna give us all that great information. In addition to seeing some really cool kind of neat things, because he has the in being Luke Skywalker or Mark Hamill, then nobody's gonna say no to him.
Oh yeah, I would love to see them go to like Jim Henson's Creature Shops or Industrial Light and Magic or God, who's Mr. Rick Baker.
Anybody you can think of, I'm sure Mark Hamill's going to get in on that.
No. All right, well, more related on pop culture. Let's talk Mary Poppins. A Mary Poppins sequel gets a release date. Disney has officially announced that Mary Poppins returns in coming to theaters on December 25th, 2018, with Emily Blunt in the title role, along with Hamilton star and co-creator Lin-Manuel Miranda as the street lamp named Jack. Into the Woods director Rob Marshall will be the man behind the camera for the sequel, since the young Han Solo movie has been rescheduled for May 2018. It looks like Disney is shifting their Star Wars movies back to summer in 2018 to make room for other features.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that for the 2018 schedule. The movies move back to the summer, so
not complaining, but there's so much in a good way.
I think I feel like Disney feels like they can compete with the Star Wars franchise in the summer with everything else, because during the summertime you're also going to get those Marvel movies and DC movies. So I don't know if that's going to cause those intellectual properties to shift to some other months, because now December is kind of open. There's no like major recurring blockbusters that are going to come out during the winter anymore. It's going to be this year is going to be Rogue One in the winter. The next year it's going to be this summer for the it's going to be this year is going to be Rogue One in December. Next year is going to be December still for Episode 8 of Star Wars, and then the summer after that's going to get the Han Solo movie.
I'm surprised Disney just doesn't have its own. It has enough land property that they should have they become their own country. I think with all the land mass that Disney owns, they should literally be their own country. Total option if you want to live in there and whatnot, and if you can afford it. But it's fun. There's two sides to every story on it. But okay, sticking with Mary Poppins.
So what do you think of Emily Blunt as the new Mary Poppins?
Remind me who she is, because I'm sorry, it's going to be one of those like I'm going to do the IMDb right now because
thankfully I have it in up just for that figure. We have Douglas Beatty the third in the chat room saying she thinks that Emily Blunt is a good fit for Mary Poppins. She definitely has the face for it. She looks similar enough. We know that she can sing from Into the Woods, so she has the voice for it. Whether or not she has the character acting for it, I think that's up for debate. But I'm willing to pay the money to see it.
Okay, I'm reading her little bio, whatever kind of thing. Okay, interesting girl. Seeing her picture.
Yeah, Douglas is saying Krasinski's wife.
Okay.
If that helps him, he looked at the bio.
Nothing against that, but if you drop a little more hints in that, I think she looks familiar though, because obviously. Yeah, I don't know.
You've seen her in things before, definitely.
Is she American? That at least to the best of your knowledge, because last time I checked, a lot of
she's a British actress.
Oh, then okay, makes sense on it, because there's been the issue like once again, if you saw the original Mary Poppins, Dick Van Dyke, a lot of Europeans were kind of like, that is a very lousy British accent, or at least European accent.
That would be the case, but I don't think she has to fake her British accent since she was born in, I think, London.
So I'm guessing musical.
It is a musical.
Do you were you willing to say possible? Well, there's always the expectations, but I'm not saying it's going to be Oscar worthy or anything like that. That's a little putting too much emphasis on it. But do you think it's going to have that the Disney magic of having those songs that that kids are going to be singing? Hopefully not in the world of Frozen. Nothing against Frozen, but you can only hear "Let It Go" so many times. But
I think Disney's going to do its best to make it as appealing as possible. It's been a while since there's been any Disney movie that has kind of caught my musical attention, like nothing original. All the remakes of the stuff have been interesting, of course. The Jungle Book still uses some of the same older songs, but those are the ones that kind of touch that magical place inside of me. Nothing Disney's done originally has been that exciting. So it's hard to replicate all those original songs because all those original songwriters are all dead.
There's some alive, but they just might not have the flair right now. The one that has it and is still around, and Alan Menken, one of the Sherman brothers, is still around, and of course the new cast right now, not the new cast, but new duo couple is of course the people that wrote Frozen, and actually so there are other stuff that they could just literally play off whim on a piano. They're great. They're actually very talented.
I'd be more curious to see if they're going to let Lin-Manuel Miranda, who the star of Hamilton, he's a music writer. He has a hit Broadway show. Whether they're going to let him take a stab at writing some of the original music for Mary Poppins Returns. If they did that, I would be very interested to see how that works out, because his style at this point is essentially kind of rap Broadway. And he does an amazing job, but that's definitely not like the original Mary Poppins kind of feel to it.
Oh, okay. I'm spelling his name wrong. My typing skills are horrible.
Yep, absolutely. So we're moving to our next story, of course. It is Netflix. Netflix is ordering the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, or GLOW. Netflix has given a 10-order episode order of GLOW, GLOW, a comedy series executive produced by Orange is the New Black creator and executive producer Genji Kohan and Orange co-executive producer Tara Herman. GLOW is inspired by the real-life story of the 1980s female wrestling league set in Los Angeles, California, and showcasing big hair, body slams. The series tells the fictionalized story of an out-of-work actress who finds one last attempt to live her dreams in the form of a weekly series about female wrestlers. So this one was definitely kind of dropped in for you. You're a huge wrestling fan.
My alley.
Have you heard of the GLOW wrestlers before?
Well, GLOW originally, yes. I actually grew up watching GLOW. I didn't know much about it at the time because, to me, wrestling was wrestling. As soon as I saw a ring and some people in it, I was like, especially seeing the colorful costumes and everything. This was a big I'm not sure if about a big hit, but had quite a bit of following during the 80s. So obviously the large heyday of 80s wrestling. It sadly didn't carry over up to the 90s. Eventually broke down. Some people went here and there. There's actually a really great documentary on Netflix on it. I think it might have just been called GLOW or something GLOW, or Ladies of Wrestling, something like that. But if you get a chance, look at it. It's a great documentary on it.
Yeah, Netflix has a number of good wrestling shows. I think they just dropped one this month about Jake the Snake as well, which I'm hoping watch it a little bit later today. But this is a very interesting mix of interest, wrestling, female empowerment. This is one of the only leagues I've ever heard is entirely for women. And again, it's from the 80s, so you're going to see the kind of hairstyles, those type of outfits.
Bright neon colors.
Yeah. Look at some of the pictures from the link we have in our show notes, and you're going to see some pictures from original actual GLOW wrestlers. And they're not the same kind of divas that you see now in WWE, but nope. You can tell that the influence from this 1980s women's league is felt even today. The outfits, the kind of drama that's involved in the show, and some of the sexualization of female wrestlers.
Yeah, because the GLOW, they pretty much stood on their own. They weren't set up as, no offense to and I'm going to call it the product that WWE puts out, everything that you see in wrestling. Compared to the independent wrestlers, love those ladies, love independent wrestling. They're sticking out. Of course, Japanese style wrestling, a little more intense depending on what you watch. I honestly, as much as I love this show, I honestly wanted to see it as an animated series. I think it would be amazing as an animated series. Don't get me wrong. If you want to
when you look at some of the costumes, you almost feel that it's made for animation or made for like a television productions. I think the GLOW intellectual property definitely fits in a serialized fictional story on Netflix, and I think Netflix is a great place to put it because they're going to let the producers and the writers do whatever they want. They don't really care, and that gives them the opportunity to tell an amazing story about something that's based on actual real life.
Yeah, because it reminds me of a combination of the Hulk Hogan All-Stars and what's that current DC all-girl, I think it's on Nickelodeon or so, the female characters is like Wonder Woman, what's her name, Harley Quinn, all pretty much all the female characters, but they're simulated in like preteen or teenage university, like they're trying to be heroes, going to university, hero you kind of thing.
Yeah, there's this like DC women's year through. I see what you're saying.
But I want to see that concept, but with '80s women's wrestlers, and I think it would be amazing to be an animated series. Because don't get me wrong, live actors would be amazing. There's a whole line of a roster, if you will, of female independent wrestlers that would be amazing on it. But I don't know if it's going to be in the world of like they're actually going to become their own wrestling organization, and then they're going to start touring around. But anyway, more power to them. Hopefully, it comes out sooner the better. But I would like to see it as an animated series.
Yep. Well, we get it as a live action show on Netflix, and that's what we get. And I'm sure we're going to enjoy it.
Okay. Let's see. Next entertainment news is The Division, the movie. Variety reported that this week that Jake Gyllenhaal is attached to star and produce a movie based on The Division, a third-person cover-based shooter that has become a massive hit for publisher Ubisoft, making an estimated $330 million. The story behind The Division has all the makings of an action thriller. A virus with a 95% mortality rate is introduced into the middle of New York City on Black Friday via infected money. Players take the role of the Division operatives, badass sleeper agents sent in to save New York.
Yep, this is a massively popular video game currently. It came out this year, made a ton of money for Ubisoft, so it's not a big surprise that they want to take that intellectual property and make it into a movie. They're already doing that with the Assassin's Creed series, so why not something else like The Division? It's an interesting story, lots of action, so I see how it would appeal to a movie-going audience. You've seen The Division before, right?
Is that the one with the extraction, or I'm thinking of some other game?
You're thinking, well, this is as a video game. It's you can see the video here on our screen where we're recording for the podcast. But it's a tactical team-based shooter where you're facing other players, and you're also facing non-player characters who are gangs, and they control specific areas, and you get to kill them. But you also can go into dark zones and attack and kill other players and take their gear and loot. So it's a very interesting mix of player versus player versus player versus environment within the Division video game franchise. But shooter-wise, it feels a lot like Battlefield 2 or something along those lines. It's a traditional shooter, but there are a lot of tactics.
The way it's described and the way I'm seeing the video, I'm thinking a combination of The Warriors and Call of Duty.
Sort of, it is. Yeah, that's a nice description. But it's something a lot of video game people... I look forward to seeing it. I think they can do a good job because the story is just broad enough that it's interesting, but there can be a lot of shooting gun action, and so those seem to be good combinations for a good action film.
That's the thing when those kind of movies is like, it's hard to centralize a individual to be the main focus, main star. Like, say if The Rock was in it, it's going to be a Rock movie. It's not going to be a movie about this group. Unless it's borderline Expendables, where they try to,
No, I don't think that's the case. This Tom Clancy has written a lot of stuff, and his name has been attached to a lot of video games. Douglas Beatty is making the same case that a lot of Tom Clancy novels that intellectual properties have been made into movies and video games, and they've done fairly well. The big key, of course, is a good writer and a good. Yeah. It depends on how big their budget's going to be. I think the emphasis on this one is not going to be so much the suspense thriller portion of it, which Tom Clancy is known for, but rather the action, blowing up of stuff, which is kind of the emphasis in the video game.
I think it's all about when it comes to, if you want somebody to watch it, key elements, got to make it very patriotic. Have it coming around sometime in 4th of July.
That is a recipe for success. Yes, you're absolutely
correct. Of course, all the whole pro-America, whatever, kind of down with whoever the current bad guy is. But it's gonna be good. I'm not huge on military flicks, but sometimes, like you said, if it's written well, a good story will capture you, and you'll sit down and watch the whole thing.
That is the key. Now, moving on to our next story, we have another interesting intellectual property that's coming to television this time, Legion. FX Networks has given an 8-episode order to Legion. It's X-Men themed pilot starring Downton Abbey's Dan Stevens. Now, in the Marvel comic book universe, Legion, or David Charles Haller as he's known, takes the role of an anti-hero and has a severe mental illness, including a form of dissociative identity disorder, with each of his personas controlling one of many superpowers. This character is probably one of the most interesting that I've seen in the Marvel Universe in a very long time. He's definitely an overpowered character. He's been around for a while. He is the son of Charles Xavier. So that kind of takes into account kind of his mental powers.
Yeah.
But I think that it's a very interesting way of creating a character that you can almost give an infinite amount of powers to. And that makes them overpowered generally, but it also gives you an opportunity story-wise to tell very interesting stories for a television series, because every episode you can introduce a new character with a new power.
Mm-hmm.
And if that personality takes over his body, well, then that power is manifested. And it becomes a struggle character-wise between who's in control, the main personality or one of the sub-personalities, and what those things do to the story.
Well, you know how I have my love towards the X-Men, and I'm hopefully crossing fingers there's no Bryan Singer attachment to this whatsoever.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Because everyone knows how I feel about him. But I want to see. I'm just glad they're doing something with the property, because the Legion series is really great. There's so many other characters on there that they need to put it out. They need to put it out. People might not like what might come out, the quality, or depending how it's written. But it looks like it's going to sound like I'm going to call it a one shot, if you will. But it's a series, like a mini series, obviously 8 episodes. So we'll see how much they crank, because there's so many heroes that are related to them, not just the original X-Men cast. Which brings another thing: are they going to bring a whole new cast? Or they're going to use the existing movie universe ones, and
that's one of those things about licenses that you don't know who's actually going to show up. This character Legion, I'm assuming he's going to get all his personalities from the comics, but who else they can pull in from other intellectual properties, we don't really know, because it is on FX. They have a sketchy history of superhero shows not doing well. I would prefer personally to see this show on something like Netflix, where you have other Marvel intellectual properties and you can mix and match them as you see fit, because they're on the same network being produced by the same company. I think that's would be a better way to do it. But whatever it takes to get these great stories from the comic books to other television and movies, I'm all for.
Making them live action is another thing. Don't get me wrong. Comics, love them. Cartoons, I'm always pro, because you have more freedom with the cartoons. And the only thing that's kind of been an issue with having live actors, heaven forbid, and I've talked about it before with a lot of current actors, if one of them happens to die, contract negotiations to fall,
they replace them with somebody else. You've seen it with the X-Men franchise. All the original actors from the very first X-Men movie, they've all kind of aged out, with the exception of Hugh Jackman. This is his last movie, and so they story-wise just went back into the future where they can justify younger, newer actors and kind of reboot everything. That's all they really do. They reboot a franchise if the actors kind of age out. And in this case, I don't think that's a detriment to live action. That allows for new generations to appreciate the same stories.
I think is also the other fill in the in between blank is CG. If they want to go live,
CG is a big thing. Yeah, if the CG is not done well, if there's not enough of it, especially with superhero stuff, it doesn't play. Between the first series of Heroes and the reboot of Heroes, the CG budget went way down, and you could tell, and that for me kind of ruined it for me.
It always looks like really bad green screen with some weird bad pose of their hands sticking out, and it's not.
Same thing with Supergirl. Supergirl on CBS, their special effects budget seemed to be nothing almost. But the CW, where she's going now in this next season, they put a lot of money into Arrow CGI, into the Flash CGI, and they do an amazing job. And I think that level of commitment and detail is what adds it adds to the story, and it adds to the love that the fans have for those kind of intellectual properties.
Totally.
So I'm hoping that when Supergirl, of course, goes to CW, they're going to have that same kind of love for her.
Alrighty. Let's talk more comic related.
Or comic.
Hellboy ends. Mike Mignola has said goodbye to his famous creation this week. The final issue of Hellboy in Hell was released, and there's no last triumph among its pages. No final grueling battle. It simply ends. Is it IO9, 10-9? IO9 has written a touching article on the beauty of the final issue of Hellboy in Hell, the short series that tells of Hellboy's journey after he died in the comics in 2011.
Hellboy died in 2011, and ever since then, he's had a comic book series where he's just traveling through hell, killing demons, hell lords, and this series has finally ended. There are talks about rebooting the series potentially, but at this point, nothing's official. So Hellboy is officially over. It's been a really long time, and the art style is so appealing. It's so original. I think it's one of the best comic books series that I've ever read. It incorporates supernatural elements, but it also incorporates a personal journey that I thought was very nice. I love the movie adaptations of it. There are a huge number of fans for that franchise as well, and I'm interested to see if they're ever going to adapt this longer ending story into the Hellboy franchise.
Yeah, because the animated series were pretty good. The short movies that they did,
Yep.
and of course the live action movies were amazing. I honestly wanted to end at a trilogy with Ron Perlman because he was amazing. He was amazing as Hellboy.
He's been pushing for like a last Hellboy movie to kind of bookend the trilogy of the series. Nobody's picked it up though.
Oh well, it's a shame. I wasn't sure because I think I caught a picture of the ending on it. It wasn't exactly
It's
the Sopranos kind of ending.
It's very philosophical almost. There's no action in the last episode, in the last issue of this series, but it is it's very much almost a journey of acceptance, of finality, of an ending of a series. And Our Mind does a very interesting job of portraying it as a very beautiful homage to an ending. So I like that.
Yeah, I say check it out. Obviously, if you're a fan of it, pick up the book, go to your local comic book store, check it out, flip through those pages. If you want to go, obviously digital.
If you're a fan of the
swipe
series,
through your
this is definitely
tablet.
one you want to pick up for your collection.
Yeah,
because it's an end to an era for Hellboy.
yeah. Unless Hollywood kicks in, gets those movie rights, and said, "Hey, let's make it a TV series or something," which I'm not against. It would be amazing, but an end to everything, I guess.
Yep. Now that's going to be it for the show, everyone. It's for Geek Bytes Podcast. We appreciate you listening. And
If you like the
that's
podcast, you can help support us by subscribing to us on iTunes and YouTube.
thank you very much, everyone, for listening and watching for Geek Bytes Podcast. I'm Ramon Mejia.
I'm Edgardo Costa.
Now, go geek out about something.